Okay, so you know how we love to get a little meta with our deep dives, right?
Mm,
Well, this time we're going full on meta. Strap yourselves in.
sounds fun. What do we got?
We're diving into the world of anti-memes.
Ah. So how are we going to talk about what we can't talk about?
Precisely. That's the challenge, and honestly, I couldn't be more excited.
Always up for a challenge.
Our intrepid listeners, always the adventurers, have sent us a stack of excerpts from Quantiem's There Is No Antimemetics division.
And just that title alone, right? There is no antimemetics division already messing with our heads.
Right, it's like it's trying to disappear as we're saying it.
It's a perfect example of what we're dealing with here.
So anti-memes, for anyone just tuning in,
Yeah.
well, how do we even explain this?
Like top off. Have you ever tried to remember a dream, but it just slips away the harder you try to grasp it?
Oh, totally. It's like trying to hold smoke.
Exactly. Anti-memes are like that. But instead of dreams, they're ideas, concepts, even entire organizations that resist being known.
And QNTM really drives this home, doesn't he? He doesn't just give us isolated examples of anti-memetic phenomena.
Right.
He suggests a vast interconnected network of these ideas, all pushing against reality itself.
Like they're trying to break through.
It's a bit unsettling when you think about it. Like, what does it mean for our understanding of the world if information can just vanish?
Or if it was never even known to have existed in the first place.
Whoa, okay. Yeah, that's getting into some creepy territory.
And we're just scratching the surface.
So if anti-memes are all about forgetting, how do we even begin to study them?
Yeah, that's where things get really interesting. We've got the SCP Foundation, specifically a supposed antimemetics division.
Which is funny because the story is called...
There's no antimemetics division, I know. It's a whole layered meta joke.
Okay, so we've got this division that may or may not exist, dealing with ideas that disappear if you think about them too hard.
Pretty much.
And they're tasked with containing these ideas, these anti-memes, and protecting the rest of us.
Which begs the question, how do you contain something you can't even comprehend?
All right, so how about we dive into a specific example?
Sure.
SCP-3125, that one really stuck with me.
Ah, yes. SCP-3125, a classic, or at least as classic as something that wants to be forgotten can be.
It's described as this like metastasized meme complex trying to break into our reality.
And it gets worse. The more you understand it, the more vulnerable you become to it.
So wait, knowing more is dangerous?
Knowledge is power. But in this case, knowledge makes you a target. It's like it can see you back.
That is seriously creepy. It's like it feeds on your understanding.
In a way, it does. The more you perceive it, the stronger its hold on you becomes.
This is starting to feel like that scene in every horror movie where someone says, "Don't look." But you know they're going to look.
And in this case, looking might just be the end of you.
It's almost like our brains aren't meant to process this kind of information.
Like there are some things the humans just aren't meant to know.
And that's where the antimemetics division comes in, right?
If they exist, they...
Right, because who knows at this point?
Exactly.
But if they are out there, I have to hand it to them, facing down these reality-bending threats.
It's got to be one of the most mentally taxing jobs imaginable.
Absolutely. Imagine the mental fortitude it must take.
Not to mention the constant threat of amnesia.
Right. Like, forgetting your own name is a real occupational hazard.
Kuntiem doesn't shy away from that. He really digs into the psychological toll on these characters.
Like Marion Wheeler, the division chief, constantly struggling to hold onto her memories.
And Kim, that poor junior researcher, first day on the job, runs into a memory-erasing entity.
Talk about being thrown into the deep end, right?
Trial by fire, anti-memetic style.
So how do these guys even function? How do you fight something you can't even remember?
Well, they've got a few tricks up their sleeves, or should I say in their systems.
Do you tell?
Monestics. They're like memory-altering substances.
Monestics. Okay, so like a pharmaceutical countermeasure to the whole forgetting thing.
Exactly. Some enhance memory, others protect against memory loss.
So like a mental firewall against anti-memetic attacks.
Essentially, yeah. But like any defense, it's not foolproof.
Right. Because then where's the fun in that?
Exactly. And that's where things get really wild.
Even wilder than a division that may or may not exist.
Oh yeah, QNTM introduces the concept of conceptual weapons.
Okay, conceptual weapons sounds intense.
It is. Imagine weaponized ideas, thoughts that can rewrite reality itself.
Okay, now we're talking. Like, how does that even work?
Well, one example that stuck with me was the antimemetic bomb from World War II.
An anti-memetic bomb.
An idea so powerful it could rewrite history.
Rewrite history as in...
As in erasing the very knowledge that something ever happened.
So it's not just forgetting, it's unknowing. Like it never even existed.
Exactly. And that's the truly terrifying part of antimemetics. It can make anything disappear, even the memory of it ever existing.
It's like trying to convince someone they never had a favorite color, because the very concept of that color has been wiped clean.
You're getting it. It challenges our whole perception of reality, right? If something can be made to never have existed, how do we even know it's true anymore?
Okay, now my head is officially spinning.
Just wait. It gets weirder.
Bring it on. I think I'm ready.
All right, let's talk about SCP-2256, the very tall things.
Okay, very tall things. That sounds descriptive at least.
They were massive creatures, over 1,000 meters tall, walking the ocean.
1,000 meters, that's taller than some skyscrapers.
And yet, for centuries, almost no one knew they existed.
How do you miss 1,000-meter tall anything?
Antimemetic camouflage. They were invisible to anyone who didn't have a specific nest egg to counteract it.
So they were only visible to people who were, what, prepared to see them.
Basically. Only the Polynesian natives of Makiti Island, who had a special nest egg from a plant they used, could see them.
That is wild. So there could be things, whole skyscraper-sized things, hidden in plain sight right now, and we'd never know.
It really makes you question what else we might be missing, doesn't it?
It's like we're looking at the world through a keyhole, completely oblivious to the bigger picture.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
It's kind of terrifying, but also like, what if we're the weird ones, right? Like, what if that's just normal and we're the ones who are somehow limited?
It really makes you question our place in the grand scheme of things, doesn't it? Like maybe we're just not equipped to perceive certain aspects of reality.
Okay, but here's a thought. We've been talking about the dangers of antimemetics, the forgetting, the unknowing. But what about the flip side? Could there be a way to use these reality-bending concepts for good?
You know, it's funny you should mention that because I was just thinking about SCP-2256, the very tall things.
Right. Those skyscraper creatures.
What if we could harness that antimemetic camouflage, not to hide things, but to protect them?
Okay, I see where you're going with this, like using antimemetics for conservation efforts.
Exactly. Imagine making endangered species invisible to poachers or protecting vulnerable ecosystems from exploitation.
Now that's using your antimemetic powers for good, turning the tables on the whole concept of hiding and forgetting.
It makes you wonder about the possibilities, right? If we could control these forces, could we erase harmful ideologies or prevent conflicts before they even begin?
It's a lot of what ifs, but it's a compelling thought.
It is, but it's also a dangerous game we'd be playing. The power to manipulate reality, even with the best intentions, is a heavy burden. And that's something that Kuniem explores throughout the story.
It's true, there are always consequences.
Look at Marion Wheeler. She dedicated her life to containing these threats, protecting humanity, even if it meant sacrificing her own memories, her own sense of self in the process.
Yeah, her story is a powerful reminder of the stakes involved. But even in the face of these mind-bending forces, there's still a choice to be made.
A choice to fight for what we believe in, to protect what matters, even if it means losing a part of ourselves along the way.
So where does that leave us? At the end of There Is No Antimemetics Division, do we get any answers?
You know, Kuntiem, he's not one to tie things up in a neat little bow.
True, true. More like leaving us hanging on the edge of a cliffhanger with a million questions.
We've got Adam Wheeler trying to grasp onto his memories after his encounter with SCP-3125, and Dr. Hughes, who tried to fight fire with fire, creating a counter meme, but ultimately failed.
But even in that failure, there's this glimmer of hope, right? With Hughes's belief that someone, maybe Marion Wheeler, still has that spark to create a successful counter meme.
Right, but can that spark be rekindled even if her memories are gone? Can she reclaim that knowledge, that will, to fight back against SCP-3125?
It's a question that sticks with you long after you finish the story, and it speaks to a larger theme, I think. Can humanity find a way to counter these antimemetic threats? Or are we destined to be swept away by the tide of forgetting?
It's the ultimate question, and I don't think there's an easy answer. Maybe there isn't one.
Maybe it's more about learning to live with the uncertainty, accepting that there are things beyond our comprehension.
That's where true wisdom lies, right? Acknowledging the vastness of what we don't know.
Well said, well said. This whole deep dive into antimemetics has been quite the trip.
You and me both. It's enough to make you question everything you thought you knew.
And to everyone listening, we hope this has sparked your curiosity, challenged your perceptions, and maybe left you with a few more questions than answers.
Because when it comes to antimemetics, sometimes the journey of exploration is just as important as the destination. Maybe even more so.
So keep those minds open out there, and maybe a healthy dose of skepticism close at hand. You never know when you might encounter an idea that tries to erase itself from your memory.